Skinny fat is one of the most frustrating body types because you feel like you're doing everything right, but you're not overweight and you're not lean or muscular either. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly why the usual nonsense advice of just cut harder or just bulk up is the wrong way, and the actual framework that is going to work and allow you to change your physique and recomp your body, show you how to eat, how to train, and what lifestyle habits actually matter to fix skinny fat. So without further ado, let's get into this. Because when you're looking to fix skinny fat, a lot of it comes from the wrong type of nutrition, the wrong type of training, and just lifestyle habits that are just completely off track and not for what you need. So I'm going to talk to you about how you can fix it, the gut first approach, and how you're actually going to fix it by fixing your gut first, and then the training and nutrition that comes alongside that. So when you're looking to fix skinny fat, you need to be building muscle, dropping body fat at the same time, and that comes from fixing your gut in the process. So if your gut and the nutrition side isn't right, then you're never going to break out of that skinny fat cycle, no matter how many days you're in the gym, how much cardio you're doing, because the key pillars and the foundations of this are not in check. So let's get into it. What's the typical common advice, the common problem? Skinny fat basically happens when you've got little to low muscle mass and a higher percentage of fat. Hence why your arms are quite skinny, but your belly's almost sticking out basically. So you get that skinny fat look. And the usual solutions, like I say, is just cut so hard, just bulk up, just do one or the other. And that's not the case when it comes to skinny fat. It's basically something in the middle. Cutting harder just makes you look smaller and flatter and doesn't actually fix the root cause. And bulking, a lot of the time people bulk wrong anyway, and it will just make you look fatter. So it's not about doing one or the other and really going hard on one or the other. It's about getting in the middle and doing something called a body recomposition, which is how you're actually going to fix skinny fat. So when you do a hard cut, when you bulk up too much, you just stay stuck in between. Like it says, you stay soft, you stay bloated, and you stay frustrated. A lot of the time what happens is your gut is out of whack, and that's why you look that skinny fat sort of way. In terms of what the realization was for me and for clients that I've worked with, is that it's not about doing something extreme and just bulking up too much or cutting too much, because that just doesn't help the problem. And then if anything, it just makes it worse. So if anyone tells you to do that, please tell them that is not going to help me. And now you know that. So don't do these things again if you're in that skinny fat phase. It's about recomposition. It's about building muscle, and it's not going to be a quick process, but it's about building muscle and losing fat. So you're slowly leaning out basically, and you're fixing that skinny fat issue that you've been stuck with for a while. And the missing piece that a lot of people ignore again, and I bang on about it so much because it is so key, is your gut health. Because no matter how much you're bulking, no matter how much you're cutting, or even if you're doing a body recomp, if your gut's out of whack, it's going to make everything 10 times harder, because you're going to still get that bloated look. You're still going to have indigestion, inflammation, and what that leads to is just having that skinny fat look naturally. So if you're always bloated, if you're always tired, if you're always inconsistent with things, your body's not going to change either way. And no matter what your calories say, no matter what your body recomposition is doing, it's not going to change as it would do when your gut is in check. This is all good and well, but what actually does work? How do you actually fix skinny fat? How have I done it? How have other people done it that I've worked with? You've got to be training for strength. It's not about smashing endless hours of cardio. Again, you don't need to be doing that. And anyone who tells you that you've got to lose fat by smashing hours of cardio, you've got a body recomp by doing that, it's not the case. Train for strength. Progressively overloading is what is going to get you to where you want to be. 3-4 sessions a week. Progressive overload as the focus and the core focus of it. So each week you want to be increasing your weights, your reps, your number of sets, you're decreasing your rest time. That is what progressive overload is going to do. And by progressively overloading, you're going to be building muscle. And by building muscle, you're going to be changing the recomposition of your body. But it's not that simple. It's not just doing that. You then need to be prioritizing protein very, very heavily in a body recomposition, because what you want to be doing is building muscle. And how do you build muscle? By eating protein. But it's not just about protein, because we also want to be fixing your gut. So we also need to prioritize fiber at the same time. So what does that mean? Every meal that you're having should hit both of those things so that you can work on both goals simultaneously. So fiber and protein, again, keep you full. They support your digestion, they improve your gut health, and they fuel muscle recovery and growth, which is what we want to do. We want to improve our gut health, and we also want to be building muscle and losing fat at the same time. Now, these two nutrients are going to help you to lose fat because you're going to feel fuller. And when you are in this body recomposition, fixing skinny fat phase, you then need to, on to the next point, balance your calories. So when you want to recomp, you basically are building muscle and losing fat at the same time, right? So what you need to be doing is you can start a maintenance or a slight calorie deficit, depending on how much fat you have to lose. So it really depends on the individual, and any sort of generic advice that you see online for how to fix these things, for how to cut, for how to bulk, again, remember, it's got to be personalized to you, because everybody's different. Everybody's amount of body fat's different, where the body fat goes, what muscles you actually need to work work on all these different things, it's individual, depends on the person. So starter maintenance or a slight deficit, that's inevitable. You're going to need that. You can't be in a surplus when you're looking to body recomp because you need to be losing fat. So you can't do that in surplus, as you well know. So you need enough food to recover, enough of the nutrients above that we mentioned, as well as other nutrients as well, and not too much, as I said. So you don't want to be in a surplus so that fat gain happens, because we want to be losing fat and building muscle. So slight maintenance or a slight calorie deficit, not slight maintenance or a slight calorie deficit, and then you're going to be able to do that. You're going to be able to change your body composition, which is what we want to do in a skinny fat phase. Fermented foods, on a side note, is to do with your gut health. Now, fermented foods, fiber, plant diversity, all these things that I've touched on before in my other videos is all to do with your gut health, and improving that is going to improve your body composition. So fermented foods, yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kombucha, all these things, they have good probiotics, so good bacteria for your gut. When your gut is out of whack and making change difficult, it's because you've got more of the bad bacteria, basically. To sum it up, you're going to have more bad bacteria than good bacteria, and your gut health is going to be out of whack. So you're not going to be digesting food properly. You're not going to be absorbing that protein that you have. It's going to make absorbing fiber a lot harder. It just makes everything a lot more difficult. You're going to have more inflammation, more cortisol. Body's going to hold on to fat. All of these things that come with poor gut health. So small tweaks by even just adding fermented foods daily is going to help your digestion massively. It's going to help recomp your body as well. Fermented foods is there just to improve your gut health. So get those involved in your diet. Build up slowly. Don't just go down in 1 litre of kefir a day. Build up slowly. Build up your body's tolerance to it. And then the lifestyle factors that I talked about. You need to be looking after your sleep, your stress, things like steps. As it says there, the boring habits. But these habits are the things that drive fat loss, they drive energy, and they help you recover. If you're not sleeping enough, your body's not recovering. It's not building muscle. You're not going to have the energy to perform in the gym. You're going to have more of the hunger hormones that are going to make you overeat and not be in that deficit. So all these things stem from sleep, and they all stem from stress management as well. And things like steps are just going to allow you to burn extra calories, which is going to help you to lose that fat and be in that deficit / maintenance that you want to be in, basically. So this is the simple system and framework that actually works. Doing these things, training for strength, progressively overloading, building muscle, prioritizing a high amount of protein, prioritizing fiber for your gut health, fermented foods for your gut health, being in that slight deficit or maintenance depending on how much fat you have to lose, and the lifestyle factors as well. You don't have to aggressively cut, you don't have to bulk up, and you don't want to, because that's not going to fix your skinny fat problem. Moving on, what are some other little tips and tricks and value hacks, as it says there? If you are always bloated, like I say, cut back on things like ultra processed foods and ultra processed diet foods, low calorie, high protein. A lot of these things are ultra processed. If you check what's actually in these foods, it's going to be a load of nonsense. Swap those things out for whole food and whole fiber sources like oats, like beans, like fruits. And then with your protein, go for lean proteins, chicken, turkey, steaks, all these things. You don't need to rely on protein powders, protein bars, protein shake, low calorie products, and all these things that are marketing tools that are not going to impact your journey. You want to basically focus on whole food sources 80 to 90% of the time. If you're stuck in that skinny fat phase, please stop that cardio obsession. Like I say, prioritize lifting heavy, prioritize progressive overload, and track your progress. If you're not tracking, you're slacking. So you need to know whether you're increasing weights, increasing reps, progressing in the gym, as well as tracking, foods and things like that if you need to. If you're not tracking things, it's going to be difficult to make progress. And then the last thing is anchor your meals. Like I say, have one gut-friendly food there. One gut-friendly protein, one fiber, one fermented food, one based breakfast or lunch that you can go to daily, so okay, this is going to help with my gut health, this is going to help with my body recomp goals, this is going to improve where I'm currently stuck. That makes staying consistent simple. When you have those go-to meals, those go-to anchors, those prepping a protein source, prepping a fiber source, on the weekend. It doesn't have to be fancy meal preps, but if you've got like a pre-prepped chicken breast, for example, in a certain seasoning, if you've got pre-prepped beans, you can just add those to things like pita breads, to wraps, to salads. It's done. It takes away the thinking and the time during the week. So these are just some little value hacks that will help you to stay on track with your skinny fat. So it's all good and well me telling you these things, but how is it applied to actual people and real people in the real world? So one client that we worked with, Josh here, as you can see on the left, Josh has a decent foundation, but he also has that skinny fat, that fat around the stomach. He has a decent foundation, but he's in that between that skinny fat phase, as a lot of you watching this video will be in. So he came exactly to me at that phase, and he was training, he was doing 5-6 sessions a week, he was eating healthy, eating good, as as people often say, but constant bloating, constantly tired, constant lack of energy, and just not making any progress with his physique. And he found it hard and had no idea how to actually fuel properly, which a lot of you do. And then you try and watch these videos, you try and do these courses, use AI, whatever you're using, and it doesn't work because it's not applied to you and your situation. And that's what you've got to remember. Every time he tried to diet, which I hate the word diet, but every time he tried to diet, he'd lose weight but feel worse, and his body wouldn't change because he's not recomping his body. He's just losing fat, or he's just bulking up, and then just in that yo-yo cycle, and it doesn't actually fix the skinny fat problem. In terms of what we did with Josh, again, a structured strength training program, increasing steps as much as we needed to lose fat, but also keep that light intensity, steady state cardio, not forcing him to go on runs and run marathons and do these things. Fixed up his nutrition, what types of protein, what types of fiber he needed. How was his gut health? We looked into his gut. Was his gut all over the place? Yes, of course it was, as a lot of us probably would do, because when we're trying to fix our skinny fat, we do extreme things and it messes up our gut, and then that makes this transformation a lot harder. So in terms of that, it was nutrition, it was training, it was lifestyle factors, fixing his sleep, fixing his stress, focusing on stress management in a high quality role, Josh's, and it made that side of things a lot harder to manage stress, but we fixed that. So within weeks, we basically fixed his bloating. It was gone. The bloating was gone because we reduced things like ultra processed food, reduced alcohol, reduced things that are triggers for your gut health and making it work. And once you do that, you can incorporate them back in. You don't have to completely cut them out, but for a period of time to reset your gut, you do need to do things like that. And that's what we focused on, resetting his gut to then focus on building muscle and losing fat in a much more sustainable way. His energy was back. As you can see, his body completely changed. He built muscle, he lost fat, and he fixed that skinny fat problem, not because he cut harder, not because he cut things out, but because he was able to fuel smarter and train smarter to reach that goal. That is basically a summary of how you can fix your skinny fat without doing extremes, without cutting out things you enjoy, without doing absolutely everything under the sun, because you don't need to do that. You just need to do the basics that are going to allow you to recomp your body. Fixing your gut, fueling your body with the right foods, training properly and not training so much that you're overtraining and just making things worse. And that's how you get results at the bottom. So if you are stuck in your skinny fat phase, if you are constantly bloated while trying to lose fat, it's not your fault. You're just not been shown or not been taught the right way to do it, and you're just wrecking your digestion and your gut even more, and you're either losing too much fat and it's not changing your body, or you're bulking up and you're just becoming fatter as a result. So the systems you've been following are broken. They're not tailored to you. They're not tailored to your goals. They're not tailored to skinny fat. They're just one end of the spectrum or the other. And once you fix your gut, once you fuel your body, once you start training properly, you'll finally get the results that you've been chasing. And like I say, it's not your fault because you probably haven't been taught the right way to do it and the right systems to do it. So if you're still stuck, if you've watched this video and you still have no idea what you're doing, first and foremost, subscribe, because I'll be posting more videos around how you can fix other problems and other issues related to that and related to your goals. And if you need more help, then just drop me a DM on Instagram or fill in my Canly link below, and then you can book yourself in for a call with myself and our team, and we can put together a plan for you going forward. But I hope this video has helped. I hope this helped you fix your skinny fat problem and know where you're going wrong and be able to move forward and make the progress that you deserve, because it's not you, it's just the systems that you've been using. So remember that. Without further ado, I'll see you on the next one.